Hello, my name is Kirioth, and today we're going to talk about the Dark Angels Primaris stuff, the new lore, and, well, as you probably guessed from the title of the video, I'm not 100% satisfied with the way that things are going with the Primaris and the way Games Workshop are handling them. So, this is off the back of watching another of Chapter Master Valrak's videos, which you will find in the description below. What I'll do is my voice is still so shot, it's so bad. What I will do is I'll just give you a very brief rundown, but it's worth watching his video all the way through because you'll get just more information than what I'm about to give you. I don't actually have the codex in my hands yet because it was delayed in delivery, which is not helpful at all. So let's just do the quick breakdown. There's going to be so many cuts in this. I keep coughing. It's awful. So let's do the quick rundown, and then I'll complain at you for 5 minutes. Sound good? Probably not. No. Okay. So essentially, the Rock gets invaded by a bunch of demons led by a demon prince. Luther is set free / escaped. There is a planet called Darkmoor, and there's supposed to be a bunch of fallen on said planet. So some unforgiven chapters turn up to kill the fallen, and then it turns out it was a massive trap and an ambush. And out of 1,000 Space Marines, only 100 left alive. Cypher basically rescues them, leading them to his teleportarium. Very helpful, very nice of him. Which also means, by the way, he's on the other side of the rift, which is mental because he was in the Emperor's Palace and then he turned up on, like, in the Rock, which is crazy. I don't know what transport methods he's using, but he should share it out. Following this, Azrael's like, oh dear, this is really bad, calls all the Dark Angel successors back to the Rock, and of course a bunch get lost in the warp. There's all kinds of shenanigans go on, losses, you gotta have losses, and then Gilliman shows up. Azrael is like, oh no, this is really bad, what do we do? Do we open fire? Do we let him dock? What do we do? Lets him dock, and then the Primaris party begins, reinforcements flood out, everyone lives happily ever after, so on and so forth. And that's where the complaint comes in. This is not exactly the same story, but it's not that far removed from the devastation of Baal. It's really not that far removed from the devastation of Baal. Yes, there's a few things that happen off-world, but at the same time, it's just... The Angels have a severe problem. Their home is being attacked by an enemy that is incredibly strong. Oh no, disaster has struck. They have lost huge numbers of troops. Whatever will they do? Oh, Gilliman has shown up and saved the day. Look at this. He has a bunch of ships full of Primaris painted in their armour colours. Excellent. You are now reinforced. Go off. Enjoy yourselves. I'm disappointed on a couple of levels. Now, by the way, this is like the absolute opposite end of the spectrum. Valrak has really enjoyed the lore, and that's fine. People can enjoy whatever they like. Personally, I'm just not feeling it for this, and I think I'm just not feeling it because I didn't finish reading Devastation of Baal that long ago. I think I read it like 2 weeks ago, and I feel like I'm hearing the same story twice. I mean, it just doesn't feel original, and Gilliman showing up and saving the day with a bunch of Primaris is a storyline that's already got old. It's already got old at this point. I've already had enough of Gilliman showing up with Primaris and saving the day. I've already had enough of the one loyalist Primarch just pitching up in disastrous war zones and going, here you go, here's a bunch of secret troops. For me, the Dark Angels they had potential. They had incredible potential for being the stumbling block for Primaris. Because whilst I think the Games Workshop did a pretty good job of introducing Primaris, given it's such a catch-22 situation, no matter how you introduce them, there's going to be backlash. There's no real way to just dump real, true-scale Space Marines into 40k. There's no real way to do that that's going to leave people satisfied. You're kind of screwed whatever you go for. And I think the way they handled it was not the best, but it also could have been a lot worse. It's not completely implausible. And yet, it could have been explained a lot better. It was a middling solution. But I was okay with it. Until I started to get this feeling that what we're going to see is the same thing repeated over and over again. And this is doing nothing to dissuade me from that. For me, the Dark Angels are so secretive and they're so insular that the idea that they would just be like, I don't like this Primaris stuff, I don't like it, fuck it, whatever, anyway. I mean, Valrak talks about how the Inner Circle is still not happy about the Primaris. That's good, but I wanted the whole lot of them to be like that. I wanted the Dark Angels to be like that. I wanted all of the Unforgiven chapters to be like that. I wanted the Dark Angels and their successors to be the first ones who, in the lore, in the fluff, sat down and went, no. Just no. Take that, there's the door, get the fuck out. We're not having that. We are not having that. I mean, yeah, it probably would have caused civil war. But the Primaris are such a massive upheaval. They're such a huge change for the Imperium. And, I mean, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. They're supposed to be a huge change for the Imperium. They're supposed to be something that stabilises the Imperium, that means the Imperium can finally properly fight back. Not just holding its own, but actively taking the fight to the enemy. It's supposed to be the thing that boosts the Imperium back to what it was, a new crusade. You can't just ditch that. You can't just, like, dump it on something as set in its ways as the Imperium of Man and have everyone go, oh, where'd you get these from? Oh, never mind, it's fine, they're good, I like them. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I was really, really hoping that we would see some pushback, that we'd see some resistance, and for me, the Dark Angels were key to that. If there was any chapter that was going to not have any of that, it would be the Dark Angels. So for the Dark Angels to just kind of accept it and go along with it, and for their successors to just kind of accept it and go along with it, for Guilliman to show up again and just hand out reinforcements like they were nothing, it just doesn't sit well with me. And it's like, it's a combination of being such a similar story to the Blood Angels and just the sheer repetitive nature of Guilliman fulfilling the role of the knight in shining armour who arrives at just the right moment to save the day. Well, or slightly after the right moment, actually, in terms of the Blood Angels at least. But there's no resistance to this. There's no meaningful resistance. And this worries me because when it comes to the Space Wolves have been shown to be anti-Primaris. They're not happy about Primaris. At the moment. For now. I thought the Dark Angels would be the stumbling block. I thought the Dark Angels would have none of this shit. They would be not down for the Primaris at all. And yet they are. They've got them, the successors have got them. It's all good. It's all good, it turns out. It's all good. Are we going to see the same thing with the Space Wolves? In fact, are we going to see the same story with the Space Wolves? Are the Space Wolves going to get attacked again? Are they going to lose a bunch of their number again? Is Guilliman going to show up again with a bunch of Primaris again and reinforce the Space Wolves, who now, because they're so reduced in number, have no choice but to accept their new Primaris brethren? I can see it happening, and that's the problem. Now, there is a ray of hope. There is some interesting stuff for the Dark Angel stuff. It's not just a rehash, there are some genuinely cool implications. So the first being that, I mean, Cypher is obviously still around, and he apparently can just get across the rift at will. I mean, he's gone from the Emperor's Palace to the Rock. Well, not to the Rock, but the planet Darkmoor, which is, like, not... It's separated. It's in the Dark Imperium. It's not in the nice bit that isn't totally wrecked. So he can get around, which is good, because Cypher's cool and we need more Cypher. And of course, that sword of his could be put to interesting use, if it ever could happen. Then we've got the Fallen. I mean, the Fallen, it turns out, there's not just a few hundred of them, there's a legion's worth, and now Luther's escaped. So we could see Luther return at the head of a Fallen legion. Now, of course, if that happens, the line will invariably return to fight them off. You know, the Fallen could descend upon the Dark Angels and their successors. The Fallen versus the Unforgiven. It's looking real bad for the Unforgiven, even with their Primaris reinforcements, but the Lion has awoken and has taken the fight back to the Fallen, so on and so forth. You already know the drill. Now, if that happens, that would be kind of cool. I would quite like that. The potential for people actually making full Fallen armies is cool. The potential for them having some sort of rules is cool, but very unlikely. If there's one thing I didn't want the Primaris to be, it was dull. If there's one thing I wanted them not to be, it's unimaginative. And I'm a little bit concerned that the way they're being introduced is the same every time, which is kind of dull and kind of unimaginative. But that's just me. Maybe you actually really like the Dark Angels lore. Maybe you like that we're introduced. Maybe you think it makes more sense than I'm giving it credit for. If you do, let me know in the comments below. I'll be interested to read them, and I apologise for the stitched together nature of this video, but, well, just listen to me, I sound dreadful. Thank you very much for watching. There's the usual array of links to click, subscribe, Patreon videos, all of that stuff, and with any luck, you might have another video tomorrow, if I don't die in my sleep of coughing of some kind. I'll see you for the next one. Toodaloo.